to Game Plan Sunday. Today is January 10, 2021. A pretty interesting week we had in Wall Street Jackboyz. You know, money was being made as usual, so that was a good thing. As far as the markets, they had a good thing going on there as well with new highs. The economy not so well, and on the political side, things is just crazy. So let's get into it. What we'll do is we'll go through our website here just to go through some of the articles that's been posted. Again, I welcome you guys to share any insight, valuable information that you guys have over there. I was just taking it back here. Jack Ma, the billionaire entrepreneur behind the Chinese technology giant Alibaba and Ant Group, has vanished from public life following after being rebuked by Chinese authorities. Now, the interesting thing is that, you know, nobody knows where Jack Ma is at right now. Lots of speculation. And the fact that it made headlines is very interesting because you got the richest guy in China who just basically vanished. And before that happened, you had them, you know, killing his IPO. Well, basically, he was just talking, you know, he said some things that was against, you know, the Chinese government, President Xi Jinping. And it was a criticism. And, you know, they don't play that criticism stuff over in China. OK, not against the government. You can do that here in the U.S. You can talk about Trump all you want and don't have to worry about nothing happening to you. But over there, oh, no, you got big issues. And so the question remains, what's up with Jack Ma? Is he dead? Is he hiding? Or do they have him in holding, you know? And so, you know, we'll see, you know, what comes of this. I don't think that he's dead. I hope the guy's not dead. I think if they killed this guy, then there's going to be big trouble in little China. You know, again, if they can do this to this guy, what more you, right? So you got to be understanding how these economic regimes be working. So just the criticism that he had, you know, basically he could do things better than the government. They don't like that. You feel me? So, and then they're trying to nationalize Alibaba. What people don't understand is Alibaba, everybody's connected in China through this digital world. They got all this information. And from my understanding is that the Chinese government wants to be able to get all that information. And like, he's not really on board with that. And so, you know, can't really fight the power. Okay. You know, what's interesting is that one of my friends who's a liberal, I say liberal in name only, anti-liberal, I would say, because it's definitely against freedom. Don't quite understand it, but he had put me on a movie called Atlas Shrugged. I think I was trying to tell you guys about it last time. I couldn't remember the name of it. You can check it out on Amazon. I believe I watched it on Amazon. It's a trilogy. It's called Atlas Shrugged. It's a book actually written by Ayn Rand, Aynrand. And it's about, you know, freedom and stuff like that with the economics. But it's a novel. And it's a book, but they made a modern movie, I think around like 2013 when they made it. Anyway, they made this movie to try to get across what she was getting across in the book. Anyway, it's a really good thing there. But this situation with Jack Ma disappearing reminded me of Atlas Shrugged, you know, the movie, the book, the trilogy by Ayn Rand. And in the movie, I'm not going to tell it all to you, but, you know, check it out. It's a trilogy, it's 3-part movie. You'll get the economic lessons in the movie sense. So it's not like, you know, hardcore, you don't understand it. But basically, the government starts to expand and expand. The bureaucracy expands and taking over businesses by hitting them with regulations and taxes. And the entrepreneurs just keep getting crushed and crushed to the point where they start to vanish. And so the movie is like, where are all the brightest minds of the world? Where have they gone, right? And basically in the movie, they have all basically gone to create a whole other society outside of the system. But you don't get to that point till you get to the end of the movie. The whole trilogy, you're basically seeing people just disappearing. You're like, what is going on? Anyway, it made me think about Jack Ma because the guy's disappeared. Don't nobody know where he's at. Hopefully he's, you know, in good health though. But anyway, that was a major headline. So you guys can check it out. The links and everything right here on the website. Amazon, Berkshire, JP Morgan joint healthcare venture haven is being disbanded. So again, you got the brightest minds in the world, your Warren Buffetts, your Jeff Bezos, Jamie Dimon. They came together to do some insurance company and it didn't work out. You know, 3 years and, you know, they just basically, you know, brought it to a halt. It didn't work out for them. So again, a lot of people always post their wins and their successes. You don't really hear much about their failures. You can mark this one as a failure. Is it really a failure? As I teach you guys, it's not really a failure. There's a lesson learned in all of this. So this was a lesson for Jeff Bezos and Warren Buffett and Jamie Dimon in this case here. Let's see. New York Stock Exchange scraps plans to delist Chinese telecom stocks. And this is interesting because you guys know that they was actually talking about delisting these Chinese companies. And then here, this is 5 days ago, 15 hours. Ain't that cool? The website keep track of when you posted things. You can see the time. Anyway, they delisted they were planning on delisting the companies. And then the day of the delisting, they came back and was like, oh, no, we're going to keep it, right? And if you go further up in the timeline, you guys will see that they went back on that reversal decision again. And so now they're planning on moving to delist the companies. And not only are they planning on delisting these companies, but they also plan on delisting Tencent and Alibaba, right? So again, this is this whole situation. You got to remember the big war, not the little battles. It's a lot of little battles, okay? The little battles with the Democrats, the Republicans. You got the inside of the Democrats, the progressives and all of that. And then the conservatives on the Republican side, you got internal beasts. But the big battle, okay, the one we've been talking about for over a year now, is China versus U.S. So that plays along with that, which goes to trade, which goes into business, which that's the reason why we cover these things, because it impacts the markets. So anyway, they basically are planning on moving forward with delisting these companies. So you'll see that further up in the news feed. Don't know if you guys seen the Gurus and Legends group. Have you guys seen the Legends and Gurus group on the website? I'm going to actually just go there just to show you. You can go to the groups right here on the website. Let's see. Change that. All right, so you can go right there at groups right there. There's another section right here that says groups, and you can see the newest groups, active groups where people are active, the most popular ones. So, and then you can also access it there. Okay, so several ways to access the information. Just use it the same way you use Facebook and everything else. So I'm gonna go down here and I'm just click the Legends of Gurus, because this one here, I'm gonna just show you guys. There was a interview that came out with Carl Icahn, who's a legendary investor. So if you don't know the guy, you can get familiar. That's why I created this group. And again, if it's any legends or gurus that you guys are interested in or that you look up to or what have you, feel free to post it in here and we can, run a profile. But if you click on discussions in the group, okay, if you click on discussions, you can see we have a list of these legends and gurus, okay? Legendary investors and gurus. And you can see I got a nice list of those. And, some of them, it's like Jay-Z is in there. Because I know people, like, oh, Jay-Z, the guy's an investor. He's not just a rapper, right? You know what I mean? This guy's an investor. So again, you can check their profile, see what they're investing in and trading and stuff like that. But anyway, we got a list of names in here that you guys can check out. So this week, a couple of these guys showed up on the radar. Michael Burry. You guys watched the movie The Big Short. Any of you guys seen the movie The Big Short? If you haven't seen The Big Short, stop whatever you're doing and watch that tonight, okay? Watch The Big Short if you have not watched it. Catch it wherever you can, but make sure you watch it. So the star investor in that movie was Dr. Michael Burry. Okay, so we got his profile in here, so we'll check him out later. But this other guy, Carl Icahn, is a legendary investor as well. So again, when you go under the discussions, you can see this list of investors here, and then you just click on their profile, click on their name so you can go through the profile. And what I plan on doing is just posting key points from these legendary investors. If they're deceased, again, we'll have maybe their trading strategies and points of wisdom that they had to offer to the markets, stuff like that. But a lot of these guys are still alive and have lots of wisdom that they're still sharing with us. So anyway, you can see this guy's profile. Look at this. I don't even expect you to read all that, but just know this dude here is legendary, okay? And anyway, you can check out, from November, I posted his, his portfolio holdings, so you can see what the guy's holding, a couple video clips and stuff like that. So these two recent clips are here. Again, this guy here is, he's preparing for the stock market to crash. But you can hear directly from him, his words and his hypothesis on this. Doesn't mean it's going to be right, but it's definitely worth you listening to. So I just want to show you guys that the other guru legendary investor, Bill Ackman, I think I talked about him the week before. So we did cover him also last week, I believe. Was it last week or the week before? So anyway, go check those guys out. I'm going to take us back to the news feed so we can catch up on what we're doing. Try not to hold you guys too late. Try to get us in and out here. Try not to be too lengthy with the wording. So let's get through it real quick. I'm gonna go back to the news feed, and you guys check this out yourself. Straight from the sources. All right. So here is the guy Michael Dr. Burry. Okay, and I just gave you guys, so just in case you didn't know who he was, right? This is the guy from The Big Short, and he is shorting Tesla. Okay. And he's been in this short, pretty hardcore. So this is his post right here. See if you guys can see that right on Twitter. He said, well, my last big short got bigger and bigger and bigger too. Tesla, $60 billion increase in market cap today alone. 1 GM, 2 Hershey's, 3 Etsy's, 4 Domino's, 10 Vernados. Enjoy it while it lasts. So he's telling all the speculators, all the traders out there who's pumping it up to enjoy it while it lasts, because when it comes down, he is going to profit off of this. So if you guys haven't seen the movie Big Short, I'm telling you, you got to watch that movie. This guy, he saw the issues in the market with the housing, and he was basically trying to short it, and nobody's ever shorted the housing market. They didn't even have a product that, you could short. And they had to create it because of this guy. So if you watch the movie, you see it, and all the bankers, they're laughing at him. They're like, "Yo, this guy, he 100 million on shorting, the housing market, because back in that time, 2007 or 2005, 2006, everybody, mama was buying houses. You guys remember, y'all old enough to know that, everybody would say, hey, you need to buy a home, buy a home, buy a home, even if you couldn't afford it. It don't matter, they'll get you in there. Anyway, these guys, he made short of $1 billion, I believe, in this big short that he did. But everybody was laughing at him, making fun of him. And this guy's a doctor, data scientist, all of that. This guy, he runs the numbers, like he does it. And anyway, he ended up holding on, and they was trying to break his hypothesis by breaking your faith, by faking you out. Like, how it is when you guys are trading, and you got a good trade, you've seen it, the stock is good, but then something happens and it mess you up, and then you're contemplating on, should I exit with this loss? I mean, that happened to me before, trying to figure out, should I exit a loss, or should I hold on to it? So a lot of time I try to give myself enough time on these trades to be right. And so sometimes, one time I was down 200% on a trade, and then that next week came up 40% positive, in the same week. So a lot of stuff moves you see in the markets. It's like a fake out to shake your faith. They put in some orders in there, and it shakes you out your hypothesis that you had, and so then you scratch it because you can't hold on to it. It starts to break your rules. And sometimes you got to hold fast, and this is what this guy did. All his partners, everybody's trying to bail on him. And he was like, no, I am telling you, inevitably, this has to crash. And it did. And when it did, it paid off. Wonderful. So he has the balls, and he has the money that he can take, he can take some L's. And so in this situation here, I'm not the one to tell you to go short Tesla. Shorting a superstar like this right now is be kind of crazy to me. But when do you short it? Timing is really difficult in something like this. But when it happens, it's going to be a big payoff. So to me, it's not worth the price anyway. But I know a lot of speculation goes into it. You guys know how it is. If you can make some money in it, do what you do. Just be careful. Y'all hear that little ding? That's somebody hitting us in the chat room. So I love hearing that ding throughout the day to let me know you guys are active. Something's posted in there. Like, let me see what's going on. Anyway. So that's the ding there from the chat room on the website. But anyway, this is Michael Burry. You guys can read his profile, check out some of his posts and stuff like that in the Legends and Gurus group. All right. I think we had some other data points that I need to hit first. Let me just start here. We had the PMI sector. This data was released here. Strongest rise in technology equipment output since February 2017. So ever since 2017, we had the strongest rise in technology equipment since then. Okay. Now, this is not the natural will of the markets. This is because of the distortions that we have from COVID, right? And people going virtual, going online, remote working is a thing now. So again, when we take a look at the PMI numbers, this is the global PMI numbers. Excuse me. And so this just gives you guys an idea of supply and demand in certain sectors, right? And so you can see the top sectors right there. Technology, right? And so what was the best performing sector of 2020? Bingo, technology, equipment. All right. I mean, it shows you right there. They're ordering more. That means that is, business got to be going good somewhere. All right. healthcare services, automobile, and auto parts. So I guess people will need vehicles. I don't know who. Maybe it's the I don't know. I mean, somebody's driving though, but somebody's ordering parts, so somebody's driving. We went, was it earlier the year, to the automobiles being in a recessionary state, lots of used cars on lots that were not being sold, but maybe because of the stimulus, we are seeing people with money and they're, buying cars. You need cars or what have you. Kids going to college, maybe parents are buying cars. Don't know the reason why, but we're just seeing the observation. We try to make sense of it. Anyhow, in this section here, I highlighted only 6 sectors registered stronger rates of growth and activity in December: chemicals, forestry and paper products, metals and mining, other financials, industrial services, and technology equipment. Over 2020 as a whole, the only sectors to record an average output index reading above 50. Remember, 50 is the baseline. If it's above 50, then it's growth. If it's under 50, then it's recessionary, it's slow. Okay. So anyway, it's just telling us here that those sectors was healthcare sectors and pharmaceuticals and biotechnology. Anybody can guess why that's the case? Vaccine. Everybody's rushing to try to make a vaccine. So obviously we can see it in real life. We take a look at the data and stuff like that, and then we see it in real life. You guys got to connect the points. Okay. The next highest ranked sectors were banks. Okay. Remember all this money, printing this stuff. The banks, Wall Street pumps it all up. Beverages and foods, chemicals and automobiles and auto parts. Okay. And then who got murked? Tourism and recreation registered by far the steepest drop in activity, followed by transportation, lockdowns, media, software and services. Okay. And telecommunication services and insurance. So anyway, this is some good economic data so we can understand the environment that we're trading in. That's why we cover the economics, so you can understand the environment that you're working in. All right. And then we had the PMI numbers for manufacturing, registered 60.7%, up 3.2 percentages. So remember, the baseline is 50. If it's above 50, then it's growing. So again, 60 is a really high output. All right. And then what I do is I show you guys the respondents from the people themselves. You can actually hear their exact words. And here I just highlighted a couple points where they're saying business picked up for us in the last month. This is positive in the computer and electronic products. So we just saw the demand in this area. So obviously these guys are doing good. In most of these posts, you can see COVID-19, the words COVID-19, blah, blah, blah. You can keep seeing that. I got to be careful when I say this because, these technology companies, when you say that word, they have voice analytics that's going and searching for the words. And so they can try to, fact check your videos, delist your videos or what have you. So I just call it the Rona. All right. The algorithms don't really know what the Rona is, not yet. They can program it, but they haven't done that yet. So I'm going to just call it the Rona. All right. So the Rona, we can see Rona outbreaks are causing supply chain issues for tier 1 and tier 2 suppliers. More work needs to ensure suppliers keep us in the loop with any problem in their supply chain. But end customer demand for products is keeping production and future outlook positive. That means people still got to survive. You're still going to need things. So there's always going to be a demand for tangible goods. All right. Anyway, so just understand that that's what's happening there. In the machinery sector, he says sales are now slightly above the pre-Rona sales. So that's good. Sales are now exceeding pre-Rona levels. This is in the miscellaneous manufacturing sector. And this one here says business is stronger than expected with higher demand for many products. All right. This is an electrical equipment. Okay. And then this one here says fourth quarter production improved more than anticipated, both against the rolling forecast and compared to typical fourth quarter business. So this is pretty positive. But if you can notice the tone of these guys, these are the guys who's running these companies, and they're giving their survey, their response. If you can notice that they're all like kind of in shock of how great things are. This is another indication of the distortion of the markets. When they're doing these lockdowns and all these other things, some people benefit and while others don't. And so these guys here, they're actually benefiting, and they're kind of like, oh, don't quite understand, but yeah, it's people are demanding this stuff, but you have a problem with getting the supply, so You don't have enough supply, you have a lot of demand, then what is that? That is inflationary. That means prices go up, So these are, inflationary factors. Overall, still looks kind of good for the economy as long as they can keep the supply up. But that's where the situation with China comes in at. You got to understand that China is the producer. So for the things that we want to consume on a daily basis and everything that we do is mostly coming from China. And so this is what these guys are describing when they're talking about the supply chain. For the most part, a lot of stuff coming from China. And so if things, continue to escalate with China, which I believe that they will, even Joe Biden, he's, again, assuming that he's going to take the position and the election was certified. So we'll move forward with that. He's planning on carrying forward, the same plans that Trump had with China, which I thought was interesting. In fact, I listened to his speech after the election thing. And what was interesting is that he was talking about, I guess he had nominated somebody over the labor departments and stuff like that. And he was talking about bringing jobs back from China. I thought that was very interesting since that was the same platform that Donald Trump ran off of. Making America Great Again was bringing jobs back from China. Question is, how in the hell is Trump going to do this or Biden going to do it? I don't know. It's interesting to see. So my expectation is that things will continue to escalate between the U.S. and China. Even with a Biden's presidency. All right, so this is the PMI service. So check this one out, right? I'm going to go into this one. We just heard the manufacturing side, right? And manufacturing sounded pretty good. Servicing is this other side here. Now, remember, a majority of America's economy is from the service sector. I want to say 70% is service. We don't really have manufacturing anymore. A lot of that stuff has been offshored. So most people are working on a phone or, serving in like a Walmart or a Target web. In fact, Walmart is the biggest employer in America. So you have those people that's serving. They're not making anything or producing anything. So anyway, this is the service sector. And so this is what they're saying. All right. Demand weakening as states go back to shutdown. So they're saying things are looking weak. Lack of labor continues to be a significant drag on the business. That's not positive. Continued local and state shutdown negatively impacting a variety of operations, notably shipping delays. All right, just highlighted that shipping delays is an issue. The Rona continues to be an impediment to normalized business operations, and the pandemic is not abating, only worsening as we get into the winter months. Stocks of personal protective equipment, PPE, are adequate but not sufficient for most categories. All right, so I'm gonna just stop that here. We don't have to go into it, but you guys can get the drift here. Deliveries as a whole are slowing down considerably. All right, so between the Rona, the holidays, and inclement weather of late, our remainder of 2020 stands to be very challenging regarding maintaining adequate materials for operations. All right, this one here, below the original 2020 plan forecast. They say business quite good, all things considered, although below the original 2020 plan forecast. This is slightly positive, but they have not met their objections. So they have objectives and they were not able to meet it. As they said, it's below their forecast for the year 2020. And this one here says business conditions are improving with increased volume. This is good, but growth has slowed slightly due to the Rona shutdowns in some states. So they were doing good before the shutdowns, as they just mentioned, but due to the shutdowns, things are slowing down. Doesn't mean that it's bad, it means that it's getting bad. The general business conditions are steady, stable, expecting a very slight slowdown to end the year with a rebound in mid-January. All right, so they're expecting, things are slow, but they're expecting things to bounce back mid-January. And then we have seen a growing number of product shortages and increased lead times during the last quarter. Okay, so this is the service sector. Again, it's above the numbers that we had that came in are above 50. So you guys can see if it's above 50, then it means that it's growing. That's why the direction says growing. But at the same time, we're seeing that in the months of December, because this is the month that we're looking at, that things started to hamper down. All right, so that's just the interpretation that we have from there. And then we had let's see here, the unemployment numbers. Okay, so it's the unemployment numbers we covered. Is to see how the economy is doing. Over 787,000. Okay, people filed unemployment. Okay, you can see the numbers are it's trending sideways, and it's kind of slightly going up. If you can see it, slightly bent, but still sideways. So the same story. There's a lot of unemployed people. 787,000 filed the prior week. So we can see that ending in January 2nd that week. So this gives you, again, when the stock market is going high, you got all these people that's unemployed. This is crazy. Okay. And then here are the December jobs numbers. Okay. The employment situation. All right. So the employment situation came out. Among the unemployed, the number of persons on temporary layoff increased by 277,000. So people that's on temporary layoff, that went up to 277,000. December 33 million. This measure is down considerably from the high of 18 million. Okay. So 3 million people out of work. You guys can read that here. Again, you can check out the little picture here, just tell you that increase in COVID, Rona cases, job losses in leisure and hospitality and private education were partially offset by gains in professional and business services, retail, trade, and construction. Construction is probably from the housing, right? A lot of people moving down south in Texas, coming out of California, people moving from New York down to Florida or Charlotte, North Carolina or Atlanta, Georgia. And so those places are, seeing the booms in construction. So I believe that that's where it's coming from that. Professional and business services, these jobs, I think, are still good because most of those jobs can be done from home, remote working. So you got to understand remote working was good. Job losses in leisure and hospitality, again, these people that's, that depend on people traveling and just living their lives. When people just out living their lives, someone benefits from it. You're going to visit places. You're trying to create, these experiences for people. Like I took my family to the mountains last year. We had a really awesome time. Well, the person who, renting out their home for us to be able to do so, they were able to make money off of it. So, but when you have these lockdowns, people traveling and people that work in these fields, they're going to lose. A lot of jobs get lost. In fact, I was talking to Mark and Mark was telling me how there was this one waitress who, when the pandemic shut down, that the boss told them that they had to put all their tips together. They don't really make, no money anyway. And so they really need those tips. That's why. So if you're eating, make sure you tip these people well, at least 15%. Okay. Anyway, it was telling them that they need to put all their tips together and then they're going to just evenly divide it amongst everybody. Tell me how you guys feel about that. I never worked in that kind of space, but I think that I would be extremely pissed off if that was the case, if I had to, share my tips with somebody else, because when I go and I do a job, I deliver with excellence. In my brain, I believe that I'm the best of the best. I'm the Bret Hart, the excellence of execution. And so if someone was to tip me for my great services that I was to deliver to them, I've earned that. And some people are terrible, service, terrible customer service, right? And so why should they get, what I earn? To me, that just doesn't work for me. So tell me how you feel about it. Some of you may be okay with, this is, break bread with everybody, but then that comes at a loss of you, right? So anyway, he was telling me about that. I just thought that was interesting. And that's a case for, capitalism versus socialism, right? So you have to understand the difference between those two. But I would be extremely pissed if I had to share my tips. I promise you. I mean, I go places. I went somewhere today and I was surprised that the guy there he was very eloquent. He spoke very great. He had great customer service. I love dealing with people like that. And normally when I go to these, fast food places, it is just terrible. I hate going there, Yeah. Anyway, let's see. Deutsche Bank AG agreed to pay more than 100 million to settle criminal and civil charges that it bribed foreign officials and manipulated the market for precious metals futures through a trading tactic known as spoofing. All right, we're not going to dial into it because I know we cut on time, but this is on the article here. You see these crimes that these guys commit? Don't nobody go to jail. Wallstreet for you. All right. Let's see. Okay, a lot of these things you guys can check out. Here go the jobs report. This is from the Secretary of Labor. Again, they're just talking about the job loss in December. The 140,000. Let me actually just read the first statement she put in here. Or he put in here, excuse me. Today's report shows that the economy generally continues to recover, but that employment in certain sectors and states remains challenged. Okay, so it's recovering slowly, but it's challenging in places. We just described some of those places. The 140,000 jobs lost in December were driven principally by the loss of 498,000 jobs. You see, 498,000 jobs. That's a lot. In leisure and hospitality, okay? Hotel workers, all of that, done. Okay? Data from the restaurant, okay? The Restaurant Law Center, we just talked about the restaurants, shows that in the reporting period, 6 states, Washington, Minnesota, Michigan, Pennsylvania, New Mexico, and Oregon, reduced indoor dining occupancy to 0. Okay? So no indoor dining. Geez, how are you going to get your tips? You feel me? This is just crazy. This whole lockdown has so many people acting irrational, even the government, even these business owners, but a lot of them are trying to comply with the government. But you can see, you go to restaurants, people, you got to take your damn mask off to eat any damn way. If I got the Rona, everybody in this is infected. I pull my mask down, I got it, everybody got it. They don't even make any sense for you to even have that. And I take a look at things like the cost that it takes to facilitate these things. I got a dentist appointment this week, and I know they got all this PPE equipment and stuff like that, but they charge it back to you guys as customers. But I was wondering, at the fast food restaurant, they had this, plexiglass, you go and you go walk in. I wanted to walk in and use the bathroom. Some of these places, I've been traveling a lot these past months. When you go traveling, a lot of these places, I didn't know that they don't have the bathrooms open. So here I am traveling, trying to find a spot that I can go to use the restroom, and I can't because everybody's on lockdown. Nobody could come in. I'm like, geez, I gotta piss. Do you feel me? I'm driving. I've been driving for hours. I need to, piss. You can't even do it. So I go to this one place, and you get in there, and they got, sheets of plexiglass just dangling from the ceiling in front of the person that's running the cash register. And I'm just like, it's a thin sheet of plexiglass is dangling. And then there's another one that's over here. And I'm like, what would stop the Rona from coming out my mouth, going around that and hitting you right in your eyes? It don't even make any sense, right? And then you take a look at the cost that it takes for these, these companies to actually facilitate, to put these things in to try to meet the, adhere to the government guidelines. It's crazy. You go through drive-through, everything plexiglass all up. Anyway, so it's crazy to me. And it's costing this industry a lot, and this is the hopes. The hopes is, the whole vaccine situation. And they put in here, as distribution of vaccines continues through Operation Warp Speed, guys, take a look at that. Okay, Warp Speed on your own time. It should be possible in the months ahead to restore millions more jobs on top of the more than 12 million added back since the low point in April. They're trying to end it on a positive note that, as these vaccines go out, then we'll be able to add more jobs back. Keep believing that if you want to. The way I see it, you're going to be in muzzles for a very long time. They got new strands of this thing coming out. Some new strand in Africa just came out last week. Every time you turn around, it's a new strand. Lockdowns are getting worse. The numbers continue to go up. My daughter, I'm be pretty busy this first quarter. My daughter, she's going to, college and everything. I got to get her situated for that this week. And she was telling me how they had to do testing every week, on campus. Now, crazy thing is that they're living on campus, but they can't go to class. She might as well stay home, right? Save some money and stay at home because they're still learning on a computer, virtual. It's just, I guess, it's a hangout spot. So we're paying all this money, so you go to college to have a hangout spot. That's what it looks like to me. But anyways, the crazy thing is that they're testing every week. And, obviously, the more you test, the more you're going to get. Cases are going to keep going up, right? So anyway, the future of marijuana legalization in the United States. You guys check that out if you're into the weed stocks and stuff like that. And on an interesting note, you guys know that on my Facebook page, I posted, and in the group on Facebook, the Wallstreet Jackboyz group on Facebook, If you haven't subscribed to that, make sure you do. If you're a Facebook user, a lot of people are trying to leave the platform. But anyway, this week, the article that I wrote called "Weed and Money" was banned from Facebook, and I thought it was interesting because the article itself was posted 3 years ago. It was 2018. So the article was posted 2018, and I just thought it was crazy that they would go back and ban the article. To me, that was just crazy. Like, you have to be looking for it. If it wasn't a problem the year after, the last year, why ban it? To me, it didn't make any sense. And so, and this is part of the reason I told you guys that, when I was anticipating on making the new site, making improvements to the site, what I kind of envisioned so that we don't need a Facebook, and so that's why this whole site that you guys are seeing, that's why it was built the way it is, because we don't need Facebook. We do everything that they do, and it's not something that you got to even pay for. All this is actually free, so it's not like I guess the new thing everybody's talking about, a clubhouse and all this other crazy stuff. It's none of that. You just come and sign up, and there's nothing but value up here, posting economics, financial markets, all this other stuff, right? Just finance, dealing with economy and things that driving the markets. So less garbage over here. So anyway, I posted this in here, right? And then if you guys can see, Facebook, after I did an appeal for it, okay, they said, your post is now back on Facebook. We're sorry, we got it wrong. Learn more. Okay. Well, I don't need to learn shit. You need to learn to stop messing with my shit. That's what you need to do. Okay. I want to go use your platform, okay, to do what I need for it to do for my ends. I don't need you out here being the God and the Lord of what I say, okay, and what I post, because you're a human just like me. The same way some of us come to different conclusions. It doesn't make anyone right or wrong. It's just, okay, you chose your side, I chose my side, right? And that's what it is at the end of the day. That's what a democracy is all about. You want to be a Muslim, you want to be a Christian, you want to be Hindu, whatever you want to be, you should have the freedom to think the way that you think and even speak what you speak. And if it's against what they say, because they are the ones who are saying this is true and this is false, well, no, you can't do that, because I can still refute a lot of the things that you're saying. If you go and try to fact check something I said, I can still refute it. So who knows the truth, right? So this is their agenda to control the truth, and I think they're going to get their head bit off by operating in this place. Facebook was doing so well, it's got all of this greatness for not doing what it's doing now, and I believe that this will be the undoing of Facebook and a lot of these other companies for coming in and trying to control, the speech of the people. And speaking of that, this week, we had the situation with Donald Trump, the president, with, again, the technocracy. I'll talk about the technocracy. We're talking about political elites, and we're talking about technology companies. Technocracy, this is what I'm talking about, where they control the environment. See, most of us, we're on and consuming the internet all day, whether you got a smartphone, you're on a computer, you're at work. Everybody's on computers nowadays. So we're living in an artificial world, and these companies, you pretty much got to go through them. It's kind of really no alternatives, really. If you have a business online or a website online, you would know that you need like Amazon for their servers and stuff like that. You need Google, you need Facebook for the data, so that you can, do all the stuff. There's nobody else who can provide the level of what they do. And so they control a lot of it, and they have incentives from the government. They have, laws and things that protect them and gives them certain immunities, and they operate in the way that they do. And so, again, this is, I can't explain enough. This is why, we got our own platform, so that we don't have to go through that. But what's interesting is that not only are they banning people, but these utilities, as I call them, like Amazon and Google, Apple, if you got an iPhone, I mean, how are you going to get an app on your phone if it's not in the App Store? You can't. So again, this is a very problematic. The alternative to Facebook, one of the alternatives was a company called Parler. I don't even have an account there. But what they have done is, to me, in my personal opinion, based off of the studies I've done, it is totally wrong. Where they abandoned the platform from the stores. I mean, you can't even get it. It's just crazy, right? So you need to have alternatives in a free society. The absence of alternatives is autocracy, okay? It becomes an autocracy, autocratic, where it becomes, and we've seen in history, it always becomes dictatorial, basically, like a dictatorship. So You have to be careful what you're asking for, because you have to see how it's going to play out in the end. You need the markets to have freedom of alternatives. And so this is a major problem. So now Wallstreet Jackboyz is an alternative. So you don't have to be on Facebook. Come hang out over here on Wallstreet Jackboyz. Join the chat rooms. All right. Also, Granddaddy Dalio hit us with some more wisdom. I'll call him Granddaddy Dalio because he's old, but he's got a lot of wisdom. I don't agree on everything that he says, but a lot I really do. So Granddaddy Dalio came through with a new chapter. I encourage you guys to study. If not, I'll go more into depth with this next week when I'm able to get into it. But basically, he was just talking about the Civil War. I'm just give you this title here: delving into the 6 stages of the internal cycle with a particular focus on the U.S. now. The United States is now in stage 5 and has not yet crossed the line into stage 6. What is stage 6, guys? The Civil War stage. Okay. So that goes to what I'm telling you about, these social media companies silencing people. This will not end well. A revolution will come and take place. Will it be a civil war? Nobody knows. But Ray Dalio has done analysis over 500 years, and he's seen these cycles. He's a cyclist and a historicist. And so all this data he's collected and seen, they all lead to the same outcomes. If you guys notice, everything that Dalio has been saying has came into fruition, right or wrong. You guys been here day and night. You can go through YouTube, go through all of our game plan Sundays when I talk about it. It's all coming to fruition. The whole recession and all of that, right? That's how I was able to make my forecast using some of his work. And again, I tell you guys, the big debt crisis. If you can get your hands on this book, he give it to you for free, I believe, on his website. The PDF. I hate reading PDFs. I need the hard copies. If you could find this. If you're interested, it's not for everybody. It's heavy. Okay. I'm not going to lie. It's heavy on the economics and all this other stuff. But if you're, really want to know this stuff, pick this shit up. All right. Get it. But anyway, he's talking about this cycle that we're in. We're right on the line of entering to a civil war stage. And he says, will populism and fighting between extremists go past the point of no return? Judging by the indicators, the honest answer is that it is let me actually read more. I want to read more on this one. Okay. It is too close to call. Hardly anyone expects that the U.S. will cross the line to have a civil war or revolution, though it could. Okay. So he said, nobody expect for the U.S. to go into a civil war, but there is a strong possibility, though. Okay. So because the United States has a long tradition of working out disagreements within the system, President favors making changes within the system. In its 244-year history, America is a young country, only 244 years, okay? It has had only one civil war, several rather peaceful revolutions, and many serious conflicts. So it has shown great capacity to bend without breaking. The U.S. has been bending without breaking so far. Of course, it was our ancestors who bent and compromised enough to work things out without abandoning the system. And now it is the responsibility of existing decision makers to interact with the system that our founding fathers gave us. All right. So, in economics, it's not our job to tell people how to make decisions. We're just stating out our observations and stating out outcomes of these things. And, you choose however you want. It's not about right or wrong. It's just that there's always consequences and rewards, basically. It's always, short term and long term. And so he's in this new book that he keeps on pushing it out. If you pre-ordered it, the book doesn't come out to May. It's a live working live progress. I see. But he started writing this a while back, and he's on the 9th chapter. And he tries not to pick sides. He tries to narrate this thing in a way that you just get the information so that you can make whatever decision you choose, whatever you want. But just understand that the history, you can't refute the history. It is like, America came to its place of power because of individualism. That's something that you can't debate. People be trying to debate me over stupid stuff. It's not debatable. America is an individualist nation, unlike China. And, even China would tell you, your individualism is going to cost you. And so we believe in collectivism. So you have these, warring ideologies. But what they try to do is take bits and pieces of each of the systems to make it work. Anyway, check this out. When Ray Dalio goes through it, he's describing why things always end in this cycle in this way. It doesn't mean it's going to happen this time. But it more than likely will happen because it always has happened in the past. So anyway, I encourage you guys to check that out and give me your feedback on this, okay? Homework. All right. So let me actually go to the markets here. All right. So a new market year dawned to political turmoil, and stocks initially took the biggest tumble since October. Then came the Georgia elections and the Capitol riot. So that all took place this week. You guys don't need an introduction to that. Treasury yields and stocks rose despite the chaos. So all this chaos happening, and stocks is going crazy. Despite the chaos on newfound enthusiasm for a unified government and more relief. So the Democrats got a clean sweep. You got the House, you got the Senate, and you got a president. So what the stock market is betting on is more stimulus, basically. So they're telling you here, jobs, however, fell for the first time since April. Okay, we just went over the jobs numbers. And on the week, the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 1.6. So the Dow went up, S&P advanced, the NASDAQ went up. Bitcoin passed 40,000. This is the bubble of all bubbles. If you can afford you a digital Bitcoin, you might you might want to get that. I'm not too sure. It's very speculative though. Blue Georgia in the Georgia runoff states. Okay, this is what they're talking about with that. We just went over that. But what was interesting is, let me see if they talk about it here. No, they don't talk about it there. Here we go. The mob at the door. A mob calling an electoral steal. Okay, this is them talking about the riot at the Capitol Hill when it stormed in and said earlier in the week, Trump had urged Georgia officials to find him enough votes to win the state, but was rebuffed. After the riot, Congress confirmed Biden's victory. Calls for Trump's removal mounted. Facebook blocked his account until his term is over, and Twitter permanently suspended him. Other news came out today with Stripe actually banned Trump's campaign. And if you guys have a business online, you know that Stripe is like essential. Like how, we use Stripe because, I mean, it's the most secure place here. If you were to make a transaction on Wallstreet Jackboyz, it's going through Stripe. It is the most secure. I mean, it's pretty much no alternative really to Stripe. But if you're doing an online business and you're not using Stripe, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It's going to be very difficult and it's going to be a less secure, place. But anyway, that company moved against Trump also. So I know he's talking about a coup. Well, the coup actually sounds like it's being run on Trump because he got internal conflict, external, he got everybody against him until he get his ass out. So that's where the real coup is at. They straight up taking power. All right, so here we go. Lame duck China policy. I described this earlier to you guys. They're talking about delisting the Chinese companies. All right, no need to rehash that. Behind the curve. All right, vaccines roll out. They're talking about the vaccines. They're not going fast enough. We talked about this last week. They're trying to get people to roll out. I saw an article in a country there trying to give people rewards for taking a vaccine. Now, if you have to be bribed to take this thing, you probably shouldn't be taking it. I mean, it's crazy. You got to be bribed to take this thing. It's crazy. Some people want to voluntarily do it. We got to have guinea pigs. So, shout out to you guys who are, putting your life on the line for the rest. All right. All right. So that's pretty much it for, the headlines that we got here. Let's actually pull this down, take a look at the markets real quick and bring it to a close. So here we go. The S&P 500, 3824 highs right there. You see the print. Markets, that squeeze. And I saw that squeeze was forming. I was like, geez, the market is up against this resistance, which is the 127 extension right there. But we were in a squeeze. So the question always remains, can the squeeze push us through that? And, we're seeing the squeeze pushing us through that. I'm going to switch the annotation to yellow here. All right, so that's the 127 extension. All right, and then note that we also have the 161 extension. And then I have JP Morgan's 2021 outlook. All right, they got a $4,400 target. Their analysts, again, I try to pull information from the big dogs. They got all of the resources and data, all the information. So this is what their anticipation is. Doesn't mean it's going to be right, but I always put a marker there. And you may want to do the same thing. Okay, so we had this first extension. We breached the first extension. All right, we're going into an overbought territory. So the question is, do we chop around more or do we continue to rally? Okay, I'm not too sure, but I can see that we do have this 161 target, the 4150, basically, as the next significant target. The squeeze is still on, hasn't fired off yet. I'm bullish on this thing. We'll see how it goes. Currently, as we speak, markets are down. Okay, S&P 500 down 13 points. The Nasdaq down 53. Russell down 13. Dow Jones down 94 points. Gold is down 6 points. Bonds is slightly up. Okay, and oil slightly down. Interesting thing is that gold and silver got killed this week. Let me actually go over that. All right, so gold and silver. Let's take a look at gold here. Gold got killed, but take a look at how it actually, from the last game plan Sunday, I was saying that, we could take a look at how this thing is shaping out, right? And that was kind of looking like I was saying, kind of like will it do something like a inverse head and shoulders? Because I'm still bullish on it, right? Or will it just straight up rally up, right? That was the question. So we kind of got our answer. We end up hitting the 618. This hard target here, and we got rejected here in the past. You see, we got rejected here in the past, and we got rejected here in the past, right? The 200 moving average is the floor. All right, you can see here it's the floor. Gold is now at that floor. This week we'll be watching to see if we breach that floor, which would be interesting. The last time we had a breach in the floor was here at this event, and it shook out some confidence. Okay, once it breaches, and then it ended up basically, coming back. So we'll see if the confidence should hold, but a 200 is a key level of support. All right, but you got to see when we see from the sell sign here, sell trigger, that sell trigger we got in there, momentum dying down, and the trend is reversing. So I believe that we can actually come down some more on that, but we will see. Which is interesting because the stimulus thing, you would think that the stimulus would basically pump up gold. It's inflationary. But as I described to you guys prior, we have a lot of manipulation in the markets. Even myself was invited to a Barron's meeting about Bitcoin. They're trying to pump up this Bitcoin situation, which is crazy to me. That's why I said 40,000. I was already in the know before it even happened, and they're talking about it and getting it pumped up. Meanwhile, the big boys, they're not selling gold. It's just not happening. So inflation, gold is protection from inflation. You got to understand that. Maybe we have to see how the people will behave with this the stimulus. I guess this first round that's going out. Will people spend the money? I think that most people don't have a choice but to spend the money. People are so broke now. I mean, you got to pay a bill or something. I don't think I have a choice but to spend it. But once Biden comes into office, they're gonna be pushing $2,000, and I think we'll get more stimulus. You got to think tax season is next month, right? So the end of the month, February, you got tax time. People start getting their taxes, and you have people who have more money in their pockets, and so when people got more money, what do? They spend. So I think that we'll have the $600 that they got now is to carry people up into tax time, and then once they get their tax time, that money will be able to carry them further until the government to issue out the $2,000 stimulus. And then I think that that'll be by the summertime, so people have some money, they'll be ready to spend. There'll be maybe more places that'll be open back up in the economy. I think that we'll get more inflation by the summertime because of those things. So this is just my playbook here in my head, just talking to you guys live about it. So I believe we'll see some spending going into the summertime because of what I just described. Oil situation here. As we know, Saudi's talking about, shutting down the supply of oil. So that's also inflationary. Which is interesting, to see that oil is coming back up. I think I was telling people I had a $55 target on oil. Here we go. This is oil here. And you got like, $55 target pretty much right there. Let me actually go back to a weekly. All right, so we can check out this weekly here. All right, so we can check out this weekly, the 200 moving average, and is we're right here, that yellow line you guys can see. We're right here up against, key resistance level. So it was this drop off this floor, excuse me, that was back in March. And then we come back straight up into the zone here. Okay. And once we get up into this resistance level, you know, we see that it's in the overbought territory. Overbought. It's overbought on the RSI. So it'll be interesting to see if the shorts come in and short this thing down, because oil going up is not good for the citizens. They're already broke, and you know, traveling is going to be a big problem if gas prices start going up and stuff like that. So it's been good for the consumers to have, you know, this deflation in oil. So this is one of the reasons why the Fed is like, oh, we haven't seen inflation. Okay. But, you know, when gas prices is low, it encourages people to go out and travel. OK. And so when oil prices go up, you know, it discourages people from traveling. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Also, the cost of gas and fuel going up is also passed on to consumers through the goods that you buy. Those things have to be delivered. Companies, again, they try not to absorb these expenses, so they'll pass it on to the goods. And it's all inflationary. So the goods that you buy, you'll see that going up. So that's why normally you track inflation through oil prices. All right. Okay. So I think I covered the broader markets here for you guys for the most part, and the economy. And then let's just take a look at a couple of names here. You guys got a couple of names you want to take a look at, go ahead and drop them in the chat. I think, I mean, just taking a look here at my list that I got, the buy trigger list. I'm going to go on a daily chart. Okay, we had Shopify that showed up. It's been a while since I charted this one, but we'll swing from this high to this low. We see it bounce off the 50. We got buy triggers in on this thing here. And we're looking at a target of about 1340 for the first target. Second target is around the 1400 level. Shopify. I believe another interesting one is McDonald's. Okay, McDonald's is looking really interesting. It's trading above the 200 and the 100, and it's chopping around right here at the 50. So interesting thing to see if we can actually get above this zone in here. And this is like a clear floor, as you guys can see. And we have a squeeze that's right here. Got a buy trigger in here. We have earnings that's coming up. So the question is, can we rally up into earnings? So see that. And what else? Google. So we have Google that's up here. Squeeze set up in Google. Let's see here. All right. 50 moving average is the support. That's the floor. We can see that line here. This is a double bottom setup. The pattern itself, it normally moves this way. Squeeze in there. Trend is up. All right. Momentum is shifting. So we look at about $1,900 target. If we can actually come and break the previous high, it'll be aiming for 1,900. All right. Also, while I'm on this thing, man, shout out to all you guys. You guys have been very helpful. My man Ron came through with a crazy play in Teledoc. So this play right here was crazy move that was off in Teledoc. Excuse all my little lines in there. I was actually getting off with those calls. Had a call in here, and this was a good play for this thing. The move on this one, again, on a daily chart, we saw it. But the big move is on the weekly chart, and it's still taking place. It's still unfolding here. And shout out to Ron for coming through. I made about 700 off of this play, a one-day trade. All right. And still got a spread on it because this, I'm looking at the weekly. I played the daily, but the weekly is still in. So I kept the spread on. The squeeze is still in there. Momentum. You see the trend shifting, momentum shifting up. That bounce off that 50 is in there. Buy trigger sign right there. Okay. Target will be up here to about 280. You know, once this weekly squeeze fire off, here's the last squeeze right here. When it squeezed fired off, you see how long that move was. So after this correction here, Teledoc looking like it's set up for another rally. We'll see how that plays out. So anyway, shout out to Ron for that. I'll call him the king of the cup and handles. He normally come through with the cup and handles, you know. What you got in the chat? Oh, also, where's Justin? Justin in here? Yeah, okay, so Justin's in here. Shout out to Justin too, man. Listen, Justin been playing Plug for a minute. Look at this. This is Justin's play right here. Justin came through with this play. Been talking about it for weeks. Why were you not in here, right? Because you ain't been in the chat. you gotta be in the chat, right? This crazy play, Justin has been talking about this thing like crazy. But take a look at it. I mean, it was crazy, you know? Look at this. Boom, boom, boom. It's crazy right there. It's all about alternative energy. And me and Justin had a couple of conversations about it. So shout out to Just on that play right there. That was crazy. Terrence says, Riot and Mara, please make it believable because it's just unbelievable. Okay, Riot. Let me just pull those up real quick. Yeah, Riot blockchain. There you go. People playing the Bitcoin. So if you want to play the Bitcoin without playing Bitcoin, you can, you know, play equities over here. You can see these companies are over here. In fact, I got a Bitcoin watch list. If you guys, I said Bitcoin, it's a cryptocurrency watch list with these stocks on here. If you want that watch list, let me know and I'll get it out to you guys. We get loaded right up into your platform. All right. And you said what? G dot? Oh, he said Mara, Marathon, Patent. Okay. Yep. That's another one here. Crazy, crazy moves right there. And G dot for just green dot. Oh yeah, this one came up on the radar also. Okay. Yes. Okay. I do like this. This is interesting as we go into digital payments. Green dot cards. If I can remember green dots are normally facilitated through Walmart. If I can remember back in the hood, having a green dot card through Walmart and everything going through like digital and stuff like that, digital payments. And I can see people, you know, using those green dot cards for whatever reason. So digital payment things have been good, you know. But this thing here, the floor is clearly there. You guys can see, you know, it come bounce. I mean, you don't have to, you know, you don't have to be a genius to understand that this thing is not breaking this floor. But the quite interesting thing here is because look, like I charted a while back, is you had that resistance level. We got above it slightly, but we never cleared it. It got rejected. We're on another run. We have a buy trigger. Okay, this is the last buy trigger. It says, hey, get in me. And then get out. All right. Now we have another buy trigger. It's right here. And we're headed towards that zone again. And this one here, the trend is moving up. You have a squeeze in there. But on the fast stochastic side, I do have a little sell trigger. So it's going to be a little trickier, I would say, on this one here. Well, this may take a little longer to fire off, but I can see that 618 is a key resistance level. So I will tread softly up against that resistance level. But again, the squeeze could fire long. We'll have to see. That's a tricky one. Who else? The Visa moves higher level. Let me see what you guys say here in the chat. Some on that, but I really liking the Visa. Oh, okay. So this is a player. Yeah, that's where I saw it from. Coming off the Visa setup, looking at the digital payments, like Square, Visa, MasterCard, we was calling those out. That's why I remember seeing this setup at, and finding something in the same sector with a higher level of volatility and a solid setup. Okay, I like the way you're thinking, Dustin. That's good. If Visa moves, it should move too, but faster. Okay, cool. So it's an alternative to the Visa play. NVIDIA on the weekly. Okay. All right, let's check that out real quick. All right, yo. So NVIDIA, again, bouncing off that 100. But you can see this is a clear theme right about now. You know, these companies bouncing up against that, you know, that 100, like Amazon also, who's been playing around. So let's see. You got a buy trigger that's in here. You got a squeeze in here, and you have the trend that's moving up. It's been chopping around sideways for a long time. And that squeeze is elongated here. So it's like, okay, are you ready to bust a move, NVIDIA? We'll have to see. It's still sideways. And like it's trying to, it's boiling up. It's got to make a decision soon. So we take a look at here. Look at that move. It kind of bent down here, but the weekly squeeze in here. So this is a squeeze inside of a squeeze. All right. And what you typically see is that thing to roll up like that and a strong move. We'll have to see. I don't really have too much clarity on it as of right now. Still bullish on it though. But because it's chopping sideways, who knows? We'll see. NVIDIA just put out news on Saturday supplying the chips for, oh, okay. So that's the story behind it. All right. And NIO, I believe the article on them was about them delivering a lot of cars or something like that, from my understanding. So investors are bullish on NIO. And if NVIDIA is doing those chips, NVIDIA actually benefits from that. Investors, okay, I can see the story. So again, we see the technicals and you guys came through with the story. We just put that analysis together just like that. FCell is Justin's other alternative play. Okay, these are crazy entry. If you have a second, take a look at Visa. All right, so I'll take a look at Visa real quick. All right, so this is the weekly on Visa. Squeeze like it just fired off, one dot. So we'll see how this plays off. If it's going to fire a dud, or it's going to continue to fire long. I believe we can fire long, so we'll see. All right. So the stock itself is trading. It's still bullish, but it's no setup. There's no real pattern in here. It had a flag, but it's like it's still trying to do its thing here, right? Normally you'll see, it's like, well, it's a little small, like it's forming a little small flag. I don't know if this is a full move or not, but it's a little extended. The target on this one will be about 227. So I can see why you chose the green dot setup over this one. Yeah. Terrence, with the Wallstreet Jackboyz signal, the moving average, elite moving average configuration on Thinkorswim, these arrows here, they come with that study. You can see when they do the crossovers, basically. Yeah, so you probably already got it. Yes, sir. You probably already got it. Let me show you guys something real quick. I know we talked about this. I know I was telling Wesley, he wanted to talk about the trading journal. This is the trading journal 3.0, just showing you guys this for a second. On the cover page here, it's just, links that you can jump right to where you want to go. Cover page, the dashboard, and then the goal tracker. All of this is right here on the cover page. Just another way that you can get to those places. And so if I just go here, hit the dashboard, bingo, I'm on the dashboard. Remember the Wallstreet Jackboyz Trading Journal. This right here is, a tool so that you guys can learn how to self-master. Trading is about self-mastery. You got to figure out your strengths and your weaknesses, right? So here goes the trades right here. Just put in here, the TDOC, this is the Ron trade, all right? And this is right here. When you put it in, you could choose your, your brokerage and all of that. And you put in your symbols and what kind of trade. Put all this data in here. Key thing to remember on this trading journal, if it's coded in blue font, you can change it. If it's coded in black font, you cannot change it. Okay, you cannot change what's black. Anything other than black, you can change. All right. So you just type all that in here. What kind of play? And check this out. Right. You can put in your little entry notes. It's just a little something for yourself to remember why you got into this play. All right. And then when you exit a play, you put in there why you exited the play. Okay. And also when you're doing your trading and stuff like that, it's going to be tracking your gross profits, your net profits, your commissions, how much you're paying in commissions year to date. All right. How many trades you're doing, average days in trades. So you start to learn, like, how many days are you really in trades, right? You start building analysis on yourself, what's good for you and what's not good for you once you start to see your results in here. Depositing money and then withdrawing money from your account. So if you take a payment for yourself, you can, put that in there. And then you'll see, your available capital, how much money you have, the trade there. The risk, you can do a percentage base or you could do a dollar base to understand your risk or whatever. And that is going to be based off of, the capital that you have in here. So you say, oh, this is the capital I have in there. And then you say, hey, I want to risk 20% on this trade. And then it'll tell you trade no more than, $651 in this case here. Or if you say, well, I want to spend no more than $440. I'm not willing to risk no more than that. You just type that in there and it'll tell you that you're risking 13.51%. All right. If you're confused about the commission calculations, standard rates are in there. Most places don't have those anymore. Most of it is free. Leg rates, TD still charges you 65 cents per leg of a trade. So you just type in 65 cents. If you're using another one, you just type in another thing. Leg quantity depends on what kind of trade you're doing. If you're doing a single call, single put, you just put 1. If you are doing a spread, then you put in your 2. If you're doing an Icahn door, you put in 4. All right. And contract quantity, how many contracts you're trading, you put that in there. And this is going to tell you round trip, how much, your expenses is, your cost of doing business. All right. That's what's going to let you know. And so you want to be able to clear this amount before you start calculating your profits. Because if you don't clear this, if you're up $10, but it costs you $26 for the trade, then you're still negative. So that's important. All right. This is a little graph in here. This will show you your P&L basically. The goal tracker is right here. It just gives you a chart so you can see right here in your dashboard. Let's go further to the right here. This also shows you your strategy P&L chart right here. It shows you which strategies you're making money, which ones you're effing up on, right? So you can see, oh, I'm doing good here. Oh, I'm doing bad here, right? So which strategy works best for me? All right. So you're building, consensus on yourself, where your strengths and your weaknesses lie. So therefore you can actually exploit your strengths, and then you can actually make some modifications to those weaknesses so that you can actually get those looking better. All right. And once you get enough data into this thing, this will start looking appropriate for you. You'll see your top trades, and actually they're numbered as the top 1 trade. So your number 1 trade, number 2, this will be 3, 4, 5 from the bottom up. All right. And then for your worst trades, same thing, bottom up, you'll see worst trades, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'll see those listed there. So it's just a good indicator for yourself, what's working for you, what's not working for you. If I see that, let's see, Baba, trading Baba is my worst trade, and I start seeing my P&Ls being really impacted by that, I will stay away from trading Baba. This is used so you can understand yourself. If you know that you don't do good with Baba, stay the hell away from it. That's the way I do this. And then you see your top strategies right here, your win percentages and your total trades. All this is just data, useful data for you. So you got your top 3 strategies and your worst strategies. We're just taking the top 3 here. And then you can actually drop in notable events right here. Just so if something was to happen, you had a nice setup and the things didn't play off, maybe it was something in the news. Here was some old data from last year. Trump being impeached by the House. That's a notable event. The Rona hit in the markets. I noted this on the 21st of January. Stock market crash ending the bull cycle, March 6th. And then April 20 was the oil market crash, negative $37, right? That was crazy. Trump's executive orders, right? So you can put, this week you had the Georgia election, all right? Whatever it is, you have the ability to, put in your date there and then put in, whatever text you want, just as a reminder to yourself of key events that may have impacted the markets. And then you'll see your net P&L over here, and your percentages on the trades. So sometimes when I'm doing trades, I just eye by percentages, right? And you can see on the call on a TDOC trade, in the trade for 1 day, okay, the gain was 30%. You made 30% on a long call in 1 day. That's good money for me, right? So you can actually make that decision just by looking at that. So sometimes you're making your decision about what targets that you're going to reach, right? Sometimes if I'm doing like some day trading, maybe I want to make $100 or $200, whatever it is. Once I hit that, I know to exit, go ahead and put in my closing order. So that's to help you with that. All right, let me show you guys a gold tracker real quick, and then we'll bring it to a close. So you can understand the gold tracker. Remember, if it's in black, you cannot touch that. But if it's in blue, you can touch that. So blue, black, you can't touch that. So how you use this, you set your goal. You set your goal. The world don't set your goal. You set your goal. If you want to make $1 million, whatever it is you want, you put it in here for every month. So these are your months at the top. And what's your goal? How much money you want to make for each month? You put that in each of these slots. And this is going to help you to measure yourself. Okay. And also, I believe that this helps me from stop over trading, because one of the key things once you start really getting into this thing, over trading becomes a real issue. I mean, if you got a goal of making $1,000 and you hit $1,000 over here, a little over 1,000, what have you, okay, well, you made your goal for the month. That's not necessary for you to keep on trading. A lot of people lose crazy money because they overtrade. And you see people on a lot of these trading groups and stuff. They're running a business. Everybody's selling you something, and they're present every day because you got to feed the junkies, right? So people want something they got to hear and stuff like that. So they're trading every day because they're running a business. You're not running the business, so you can't think in that mindset. I think that mindset, it destroys a lot of traders, because you get programmed to trading every day because you're in with these guys every day. Once you hit your target, okay. Once you hit your target, they may, that's a sign. It's a sign. You can go over it, but it's a sign that, okay, I'm good for the month. Because what you don't want to happen is that you hit your target and then you mess up and lose all the damn money. How many of you guys been through that when you make all this money and then you mess around and lose it all? I'm guilty, right? And so when you see this, that you hit your goal, this is a good sign that, okay, I can relax for the month. I don't really need to put on no kind of risk. And maybe I'll jump in a couple of light trades, but I ain't doing too much. I already hit my goal for this month. I want to end the year on all positive months. That's how I want to end the year, all positive. I want all this to be green. And so on this chart, you'll see, your goal that you set, this blue line, it'll move according to that. And then the red line is your real time. So once you actually go above and down, you'll be able to, track it right here in your journal. And also you can actually, another thing here is when you're doing this is that you select the year. Okay. And when I do updates, I'll be able to update a lot of this stuff, but you can go, to different years. All right. So make sure that you're on appropriate years, 2021, and then choose your months or whatever. So we're on January. There's nothing that's going to show up on the chart just yet until the month completes. But you can go ahead and just, click February if you want, the first month to start appearing here. And then, again, as you start to continue to go through, you'll see it fill up. Also, key notes for yourself. What went right? What went wrong? Okay. This is for yourself. You tell yourself, hey, this is what worked for me. Credit spreads worked out for me. What went wrong? Long puts failed miserably, right? Okay. These are just notes for yourself. And so that's what this tool is, so that you can actually master yourself. So for those who got the Wall Street Jackboyz Trading Journal, this is how you use that. I hope you guys find good value in that. Let me know if you have any questions or suggestions. We're open for all of that. So there we go. That's the Trading Journal. And if you guys want to know where you can get that from, is right here on the website. If you go to the menu, your name menu with your face and all that stuff on there. If you haven't loaded up a picture, make sure you load up a picture up there. Terrence, make sure people can see your face or whatever you want to put up there. I don't care what you put up. Just load something up there. So that people know, who they're dealing with, that they're not dealing with some bot or something crazy, which we don't have those here. But anyway, the menu, you'll just go down to Trading Journal right here. So you just go to the Trading Journal and you can go here and click on it. And that's how you'll access the Trading Journal. All right. So with that being said, I think we had a pretty solid session here, gang. We've been over an hour. Definitely went over the time I wanted. So, but I think it was a pretty good session. Anyhow, we'll be in the markets live, 24/7. So make sure you guys are in there and contribute. There's no right or wrong. If you got questions, ask them. If you are, you got anything, just post it. Things that's on the news feed, comment. If you got questions, things that you care about, maybe you don't care about, who knows. Join the groups if you're not in those. Make sure you check those out as well. All right, gang. So with that being said, man, we'll call it a night. See you guys tomorrow. Peace.